There's a lot to be said about American gods and the battle of the deities. Sadly, we are never going to see it all play out because, well, the series just didn't get renewed. However, I feel that the showrunners were on to something good. The concept of the old gods versus the new was just brilliant. Mostly because there are only two types of gods, the authentic gods and the trickster gods. Now, you're probably thinking that Odin and Anansi were trickster gods for sure. Only you would be wrong. They are on Team Authentic. You see, the trickster gods were Mr.World, Media, and Tech Boy. In True Blood Season 2, the trickster gods are of course Maryann, and you will never guess, the Newlins. So in this video, I'm going to explain how trickster gods work and how and why you should avoid them at all costs. So please stay tuned.
In the end, all gods fall victim to their thirst for worship.
I always wanted to be a god when I grew up. The hell with being an attorney or a doctor or an astronaut? I just said all those things because I wanted to fit in. Deep down inside, I wanted to be adored and worshipped. And I grew up and found out that I might have a phobia of being around people. Anyway, it's not important. It's important to understand that there are living and breathing gods, and yes, many of them are walking among us. Some are larger than life, some possess some form of supernatural power, while others are just as rich as... Maryann from True Blood falls into all three categories. This makes her not only the ultimate supervillain, but also an amazing trickster god.
What is she? What the f is she?
She's God, dum-dum.
Come on, look at that face. Who would ever think that this woman could rip someone's heart out and serve it to her minions for dinner? But that's kind of a trickster god's thing. They have this aura of dissimulation. In other words, they have this uncanny ability to trap people into their webs of lies and delusions. What makes a trickster god so cunning is that we can't differentiate them from the authentic ones, at least not in the beginning. They've mastered wordplay and seduction, and they kind of know how to push all the right buttons. How? Well, because they understand human behavior and they can manipulate us by appealing to our dark desires and impulses.
It's really just a kind of energy. Wild energy, like lust, anger, excess, violence. Basically all the fun stuff. Maryann brings it out in people.
I talk about all this in my other video, Why Everyone Should Have a Pet Gremlin. However, I want to do a deep dive on the ultimate nemesis, Maryann, and explain why she is possibly the best trickster god who has ever graced television set.
Never been this out of control.
Control. Control is just a cage this stupid culture uses to block who we really are. We need to be out of control. We crave it.
But there's got to be some kind of control or things would be chaos.
Sounds good.
Now, remember when I said that you couldn't tell the difference between a trickster god and an authentic one, at least not in the beginning? Well, we see this happening in the very first episode of True Blood, where Maryann, the social worker, rides in to help Tara Thornton. Tara, while drunk, crashed her car by swerving around a Maynard and her shapeshifter pet who was posing as a pig. After being shamed by Kenya and then shunned and abandoned by her mother, Maryann comes to the rescue, bailing out Tara and giving her a place to stay. The home is extravagant, equipped with exotic fruit and painting of demigods and a boy toy who has an amazing six-pack of abs and some juicy lips. Oh, please don't get me started. Tara is no fool, though. She's been around the block a few times and she's ran into her fair share of wolves in sheep's clothing. However, her need to be in a relationship with eggs, coupled with her desire to be part of a family, creates a blind spot.
Something inside me says this is weird, Tara. Don't trust it. What do you think? Does all this sound too good to be true to you?
All of the intuition and common sense goes out the door as Maryanne wraps her tentacles around her tender flesh. She gets words of admonition from Sam, but they really fall on deaf ears as Tara is lured deeper and deeper into Maryanne's cult. Maryanne, like many other trickster gods, preys on people when they are at their weakest point. These are people who may have been neglected or abandoned or just feeling unloved. Tara has always been a character that longed for acceptance and belongingness in family. And Maryanne, being the trickster god that she is, knew this and used Tara's insecurities and desires against her. Now, Tara isn't the only person being led astray. Jason Stackhouse is also working to get himself out of a rut. Jason, once a suspect in several murder cases, is cleared when the real killer emerges, Drew Marshall. However, he is still grieving from the loss of his first love, Amy. Jason, like many other people who are distressed and heartbroken, reach out to the church for answers. Only this church was a vampire-hating cult.
I was saved, just like Ori said I would be. And for the first time in my life, I feel like God has a purpose for me.
Well, he does. He does for us all.
They misused the words of God and manipulated people into committing heinous crimes. Jason, a sucker for validation and praise, was love-bombed and googly-eyed by both Mr. and Mrs. Newlin alike. Jason, like Tara, wanted to feel like he was a part of something, or more importantly, he wanted to be the hero. He wanted to revert back to his high school years where he was the star football player and the ladies' man. The Newlins understood his dark desires, and they exploited him by letting him shine.
There are several exits, actually. For you, the easiest one takes you straight to hell.
Now you're probably thinking, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of nostalgia. We all reminisce and we seem to glorify the past to escape the present. However, the one thing that you need to understand about a trickster god is that they are masters of illusions. This means that they will keep you trapped in an illusion forever. I write about this in my other video, Escaping the Cult of Toxicity. Now, living in an illusion is incredibly dangerous for several reasons. Firstly, your life will pass you by. Secondly, you'll lose your intuition and your internal compass. And thirdly, you will become a mindless minion. Okay, maybe you won't become one of those bug-eyed zombies like many of the people in Bon Ton, but you will become a zealot. You will become someone who is blind to facts and reasoning. And while you diminish in status, the trickster god becomes more powerful. In fact, that's the whole goal of the trickster god. They want to steal your personal power, your chi, your ashe. They want to be larger than life, and the only way that they can do that is by robbing you of yours.
What am I?
You're definitely beyond human. I live off human energy, and yours I can't channel.
That's one of the reasons why the zombies of Bon Ton were coming after Sam a lot with guns and pitchforks. I know Maryanne wanted to sacrifice him and use him as a vessel for her own transcendence. However, the story is much deeper than that. Sam in this story is the good guy. He is in fact an authentic god. He is kind and loving and compassionate. Most importantly, he has no desire to trick or manipulate people to join his cause. After all, Sam's story isn't much different from many of the prophets that we read about. He comes from humble beginnings, and after being abandoned by his foster parents, he embarks on his own journey to find self. Along the way, he stumbles across multiple obstacles, including a face-to-face altercation with Maryanne. Yet he seems to escape her unscathed. Ironically, after many years of living on his own with not too many friends or family, he is able to carve out a life for himself. He is handsome and rich, and most importantly, he has heart and compassion. Sam was someone who never allowed his dark desires and impulses to bring him down. This was the very reason why he remained adamant about fighting Maryanne. Maryanne was this parasite feeding on his dark desires, and the only way for Sam to free himself from her was to confront his own fears and be totally honest about who and what he was.
I smite thee, Sir Maryann!
Throughout the second season of True Blood, we see Sam go from a disgruntled loner planning on running away from Maryann to a man who assembles his own A-team and takes down the wicked witch who seeks to destroy him and all the people he loves in his town. You know, it's crazy how Sam and Jason have great character arcs. They run into trouble, yes, but they are victorious, becoming better people as a result of it. However, Tara and Suki seem to fall further and further into the realms of darkness. I'm going to talk more about this in the next video, so stay tuned for that.